Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is so good to be here with you another Monday morning on the weekly exhale. I am super excited. We have a finale today. Today is the finale of the June series, The Art of the Pivot. As you can see, I'm ready again today. I'm practicing what I'm preaching. I am ready again today for what's coming next. Last week, we talked about preparation and the importance and the value of the preparation for the pivot. So, I want to give a few people a few more minutes to jump in. You know, this summer behavior, people are probably like sleeping in a little bit, getting their kids together if they have children at home, doing different things to kind of get the mornings. We'll give a couple more minutes and send out another notification, let people know that we are on because this finale you do not want to miss. For those of you who are watching the replay, we held some energy for you today because this is going to hit. So, I want to start with just acknowledging each of you who has been here every single week this month. Really, those who have been here every single week or almost every week from the very beginning of the weekly exhale. Just a little, just a little reminder of who I am and how we got here is I'm Dr. Jada. I'm a weight loss and wellness expert, a physician, author, speaker, best-selling author, and entrepreneur. I help high-achieving women not only to weigh less, but further your personal success so that you not only look great, but you feel better and you function at your best. My goal is to bridge the gap, close the gap between professional success and personal sacrifice. So this is a container that is available to you. It's low pressure. It's no deliverables. There's nothing you have to do. There's nothing that you have to say. All you have to do is show up and be present for you. This opportunity allows the human side of you to just be. So often we are leading, we're mentoring, we're fixing, we're caregiving, we're taking care of all things other people, and we forget to include ourselves as a priority. So, this weekly exhale gives you that opportunity to show up for you for just a few minutes to get what you need to shift in your own personal level of fulfillment. So, thank you again for being here. If you did not get the June series, I will encourage you to go back to the replay for that. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this series. It will be life changing. So let's get into it. What's the deal for today? Well, I mentioned to you that it is the finale, and the finale ends with a bang. So, first of all, I want y'all to come in here with high energy. I want y'all to feel the vibration of excitement, of progress, of enlightenment. That's one of the words that I came up here with lately is enlightenment. So I want you to feel all of those things today. If there is somebody, you know, I always tell you this, if there's somebody that you think should be here, send them a quick text, let them remind them if it's a friend of yours, if it's a coworker, say, girl, don't ask any questions, just get on this link because I think this is going to be something that can definitely make a difference after today. So here's the deal. We are going to start with our breath like we usually do because I want us to just drop into this space. I want us to let go of all the things that we think we got to get accomplished today. I want us to just relax and be for just these 45 minutes, next 35 minutes. Let's get into it. I want you to close your eyes if you can, if you feel like it. I want you to close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your nose, a grounding breath in through your nose. You see, I move with mine. I want to get all my diaphragm and get all of my air in. And you can blow out with your nose. Let's put a little movement in it. I like that idea where we can open up the diaphragm a little bit more. You may even want to just kind of raise your arms with your breath in and out. So inhale, you feel the tug that gets in the diaphragm. We're getting to the low parts of the lungs that we don't often use when we're stressed through the day. And exhale it out, this time through the mouth. Squeeze, push, squeeze, push, squeeze, push out that last breath. Let's come in again with a nice controlled inhale. Take your time, breathe it in, breathe it in. Hold it here if you can. Hold it as long as you can. And then blow it out with a roar. We call that lion's roar. Bring it in one more time. And we're going to go out through the breath of let it hit the back of the throat. And we're going to ooh, that lion's roar, that gives us our energy, it gives us our confidence, it gives us our stealth, it gives us that kind of, yes, I can conquer it, I can conquer it all. Thank you for being here this morning. Can you believe we are at the final week of our June series? Before we begin, I just want us to celebrate. Why are we celebrating? We're celebrating not because today is perfect and we've been perfect, not because, everything is going well in the world and we don't have to worry about leadership. No, 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 no. Not because our lives suddenly got easy and easy peasy. Now we're walking on easy street after a month. No, it's really just because you showed up. I want to celebrate today because you showed up week after week after week. You chose to pause. You chose to take a moment. There are so many things you could have been doing, but you chose to take a moment for you. And not only that, you reflected. Many of you took the challenge of answering those questions throughout the week. You took the nudge to just look at where you were calling forward a pivot in your life. So many of you just kind of decided what's in my life that if I could choose, what would I shift? What would I make a move in? What small step would I take? So you've already asked yourself some really hard questions and really had to probably come to some really challenging realizations or awarenesses. So whether you realize it or not, with that just that to reflect on, with just that, it really means you've already begun to pivot. You've already begun to pivot. I want you to just think about that possibility. Breathe in that possibility. One quick breath. Already begun to pivot. Exhale the pressure of what it could be like to start a pivot. You've already started to pivot. And for that, I want you to give yourself a round of applause. So I want you to realize that today, it kind of feels like a celebration, like a graduation of sorts. And it kind of is, but then again, it kind of is more a step beyond a graduation. It's almost like a launch. So today I feel like it's a launch day. So as we look back, I want us to do that before we look forward. I want us to remember where we've been. Week one, life changes the plan. That's that kind of pivot you can't avoid because life creeps up, something changes before we're even ready, before we think we can handle it, and life just changes and it forces us to pivot. But then there was week two where we got a chance to go a little deeper to the purpose of the pivot. What was the purpose of the pivot? Y'all remember? Y'all remember the purpose of the pivot is simply movement. And that movement begins in our mindset. That's the foundation of the pivot. As a matter of fact, when we went into week three, when we talked about the power of the pivot, this was the lesson where we talked about roots before fruit. Remember, roots before fruit. If you're watching this and you have not seen the other series, make sure you jump on those and listen to them in that order. Roots before fruit. And what was really important about that is that we talked about how sometimes we want to move faster with our progress, but we need to go deeper, deeper to set a strong foundation. Week four, remember, we talked about the preparation for the pivot. And that preparation is not waiting. Preparation is becoming ready. It required action from us. It required us to be ready and to be prepared, right? So today, what happens after the pivot is where we're going to go with it. So think about an airplane. The most dramatic part of the flight, it always seems like it's the actual takeoff, but it's what happens afterward. That's equally important. Once the plane actually takes off, it needs to change direction. Everything changes. The scenery changes, the altitude changes. We're not just on the ground anymore. We're up in the air and we're heading somewhere. Yeah, we're heading somewhere. So that becomes the important part of the flight at that point. And it's so important that we think about that in our lives. Once we take off, we got to keep going. We got to keep going in the direction of the destiny, i.e., the destination that we've set out for. Because one slight adjustment at the beginning or any point determines an entirely different destination. So think about that. If we get off course, we're going to be off course. So we have to constantly be in course correction, or at least in awareness, mapping, GPSing, understanding, are we headed in the direction that we intended? So here's what we get to do with that. We get to think about today's session, the product of the pivot. The product of the pivot. And when we think about the product of a pivot, sometimes we think in some of the conversations that we've talked about already, we think about the new job, right? Like, oh, okay, that's it. I pivoted and now I have a new job. I have a new title. I got a promotion. Maybe it's I've launched or I made some changes in my business, I restructured, and now the product of pivoting is a successful business. Maybe there's some conversations that were had that you initiated. Maybe you um, made some real changes in how you communicate, and that led to a more peaceful relationship. So, okay, so that's the end product, that's the end byproduct. Maybe it's even you finally decided I'm gonna like get myself together. I'm gonna get this body together. I'm gonna be exercising. I'm gonna be eating right. I'm going to be sleep. I'm gonna do all the things to go to sleep in the same day I woke up. I'm gonna have a healthier body, and you're just starting to make some progress there. And it feels like that is the product of the pivot. But that's not it. That is a byproduct, yes. That is a byproduct. But the real product in all of this, honestly, sorry about that, y'all. The real product, honestly, out of all that we've done to establish a pivot mindset, a pivot ability, a pivot permission, it's really, it's really who you've become, who I've become, who we become. That's the product. That's the prize. Is who you become. So what does that mean? What do you mean who I become? Then a mom. What is that? But I want you to think about it. The real product of the pivot in what you've been able to do. Maybe you have been able to have a healthier body. Maybe you have been able to um, change some things around in relationships that weren't working, friendships, co-workers. Maybe you've been able to do those things. But honestly, it's the who you have become. It's the how you trust yourself. It's the woman that now believes in herself, trusts herself to make a shift, to call forward a pivot. The woman who believes that she doesn't have to stay stuck. She doesn't have to stay in this situation, in this condition. The woman that's ready to speak up and that's ready to do something new, to have something different, right? It's the trust that we've built in knowing ourselves in a new way. Are y'all tracking on that? How's that landing? Are you tracking on that? Let me put it a little differently. Well, let me take it a little bit deeper. When we can trust ourselves, we kind of stop being afraid of our own shadows. We stop being afraid of failure. We stop being afraid of curiosity. We stop being afraid to try. We stop being afraid of the what ifs. We start to really reflect on who we deeply are and that we can trust ourselves, right? We can become the woman that now protects her peace. It's not up for debate. It's not something I'm freely and willingly giving up. I'm not sacrificing my peace anymore. That's the product, is the woman who can make that declaration and stand on business. about it, right? The woman who no longer has to apologize for having boundaries and enforcing those boundaries. Where y'all at in the chat? Give me something. Let me know if are you identifying with this woman? Let me know. What are you thinking? Is this landing with you? Are you seeing this transformative experience that we get to have out of a simple decision to make a pivot? The woman who now listens to her body. When her body is tired, she gives it rest, right? When her body is stressed and she's feeling frazzled, and rather than to go and find something in the kitchen to eat or stopping through a drive-through, this woman can now say, this is stress. I'm recognizing, I'm calling it out. I'm calling it what it is. And so let me get to the root of this. Not let me eat my feelings, drink my feelings, shop my feelings, but let me take care of me. Let me take a pause, take a beat. That's the product. The woman who says yes with intention. When you say yes, you intend to say yes. And it's also the woman that says no without guilt, without second guessing, without taking it back. It's a no. So the pivot changes us before it changes our circumstances or our conditions or how we see the world around us. Before it changes those material things, the pivot changes us. So then we get to ask ourselves, mm, I pivoted in this direction. Think about the airplane. We've already taken off. The takeoff was the decision. It was the beginning of the pivot. And now we've taken off and now we're heading somewhere, right? When you take off in an airplane, you're not you're not gonna find it out, figure it out. You buy a ticket to go somewhere, right? Although I think that would be a cool idea. You just buy a ticket and you end up wherever the pilot is taking us out. I'm adventurous like that, so that would be cool. But that's not how it works. You buy a ticket to go to LA, you're going to LA. You buy a ticket to go to New York, you're going to New York. And that's the intention of the pilot, is to get you to your destination. So now that we're on this journey, we're heading somewhere. We've chosen a direction that we want to head in. And yes, maybe we have a job or a career or a relationship or those things that kind of give us that little push to begin to pivot because it is an outside situation. It really is what's changing on the inside. I will tell you, as you think of who am I now, this is our reflection exercise before I get to that. So, but when I tell you something that will give you, how many of you out there are entrepreneurs or have had entrepreneurial adventures where I'm gonna put it like this, entrepreneur to the point that your livelihood depends on it. Let me tell you something that will be one of those things. You have to look at who you are and who you need to be in order to be successful, in order to keep your business, to put food on your table. It's not what you start out knowing. You could be the best at what you do, but when you decide that you are going to run a business, that's a whole different thing. You started out as a person that couldn't say no. Guess what? Eventually, you're going to learn. Eventually. So you can learn it sooner rather than later or later and too late. But you're going to learn. You may be a person that, oh, I'm not used to conflict. Guess what? You can avoid it for a little while. But if you want your business, you're going to have to man up on some conflict. That's just the way it is. You're going to have to be like, oh, wait a minute. Let me tell you what we not going to do. Yes, it's going to pull out some of that out of you that you didn't even know you had. It's almost like it's that you against me, us against them. Entrepreneurship will do it to you. Ask me how I know. So I say that is because that gives you an idea of what it means to become something. Before your business can develop, you have to develop. I have to develop. My business is only going to develop as much as I do. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. You have to develop yourself for anything, any career move, anything you're going to be better at on the outside. It's got to come on the inside first. So I want you to ask, who am I now? Who am I now? And don't make this too deep, guys. Ladies, don't make this too deep. This may be a good time to journal something too. Pull out your journals, pull out your sticky notes, your napkins, the back of a bill, whatever you want to pull out, pull that out and just start to finish these sentences for me. If you choose to, remember, this is no pressure. This is a no pressure zone. If this ain't what you feeling, just listen. You can always go back to the replay and do it. But let's think about something real simple. You can put it in the chat if you want us to be in agreement with you. Something that you chose during this June series that I'm going to pivot in this area. I'm going to shift in this area. It's time. I've been putting it off. I've been trying to make excuses for this. I've been trying to pour into this and there's nothing coming out. My cup is empty. I don't have anything else to pour. It's time to pivot. For those of you, and you may have found these pivots early on in the series, even if you haven't acted on the pivot yet, but you have something in mind that needs to shift in your life, the subscription has expired. It's time to cut it off. It's time to turn directions. It's time to let it go. It's time to pick up something that you've been resisting. As you think about that one or two things, answer these questions for me. Because I chose to pivot, I notice, open ended, fill in the blank. I notice. And again, if you haven't moved or acted, but you thought about it, remember we talked about the mindset and the thoughts that really become the backdrop for our next step. I notice. Or here's another one. I've learned over these last 5 weeks. Have you learned something about yourself? Have you noticed something about yourself? Do you have a new awareness? Maybe people had mentioned something that you've been resisting, and now when you really look carefully, there may be something there. Or maybe it's something that didn't even involve people. It's just something that just been a gut feeling or a feeling that you've just been walking around with. It's a question mark in your head. What have you learned? Here's a good one. In these last 5 weeks, feel this in. I've released. Has anybody been able to release anything? It could be a feeling. It could be some element of small talk and stinking thinking, judging yourself, making yourself small, making your dreams tiny. What have you released? And who are you becoming? Who am I becoming? I'm going to give you a moment to actually feel those in. You don't have to have the whole sentence if you're in a hurry or if you kind of doing too. Just jot down. I notice. What do you notice? I've learned. What have you learned? I've released. Write down what you released and circle it. And I'm becoming. Somebody jot it down. I'm going to ask you at the end. I'm going to ask you if you want to share. So get your nerves up. And here's something that I think helps us to understand who we're becoming is because there are now qualities about us that are emerging. What qualities are now emerging in you? And I gave the example of entrepreneurship. One quality that began to emerge was trusting, trusting myself. Even in this season of my business, I'm making some transitions. I'm pivoting, y'all. I'm pivoting. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's really a big deal. But what I've had to do is learn to trust it. I don't come from a business, a family. I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. Maybe one or two here or there, but they weren't there to mentor me, to teach me. So developing a sense of confidence in what's emerging, even in this season, because we don't stop evolving unless we choose to. And in fact, not only unless we choose to, unless we refuse to, unless we refuse to. So the qualities that are emerging, sometimes it's just mental toughness for me, not being able to take everything so personally. You heard the statement, this is business, not personal. It's a reason why that has to be said because sometimes people take business personally. So, what qualities are emerging in you as we pivoted? For example, maybe peaceful, maybe the qualities that just allow peace, not resisting it, not refusing it. That means some cutoffs, some shutdown, some no's, some not, yeah, some choices, some decisions, some declarations, some standing on business to allow a peaceful quality to emerge in you. Some forgiveness, y'all. If you've tried it all and the peace ain't peacing, That's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother session. That's a whole nother series. Forgiveness. Maybe you're more patient. Maybe you can give yourself some more grace and celebrate a little bit more the things that are working. Those small wins, those tiny things that you used to take for granted and step over. Maybe it's just acknowledging, I did all right this weekend. I did all right this week. Hey, I was pretty doggone decent. You can even step it up and say, I nailed it. I bossed all over that. Maybe it's becoming brave enough to speak up for yourself, brave enough to give yourself the support that you often give to others. Maybe it's removing some anger and some frustration that has often preceded you before you show up. Your anger and your frustration. Maybe there's a kinder version of you that's emerging, huh? Maybe there's a healthier version, the version that says, I'm not going to let sugar cravings call the shots. I'm going to govern and I'm going to support my body in the ways that help me to reach my goals. I'm not going to answer emails and keep working when I can get up and move my body for a few minutes before the day is over. So maybe there are some healthier qualities that are emerging. Maybe you're becoming more discerning, not questioning and second guessing, but saying, you know what, I'm going to have to go with it. I just have a feel. We can call that discernment. We can emerge in discernment. Last year's discernment don't have to be this year's discernment. We can grow in discernment, more intentionality. Some of us are just, we're going day by day, whatever the day throws us, that's what we're going to catch and throw it back. Uh-uh. Setting intentions from the morning and commanding our day, commanding our week, being firm on that so that you know either this aligns with what this week is supposed to give me or it doesn't, and you leave it. Being more intentional, that alone can change the trajectory of your day, of your week, of your bank account, of your health, of your relationships. Just being intentional, dog, or whatever it is. And here's the other thing, and this is one I really appreciate. An emergent quality of hope. Being hopeful, seeing another pathway, seeing a possibility, seeing a different future, just breathing some hope into how you think, how you feel, how you decide, how you move. Hope deposits in the bank that you can pull out and use generously every single day. Because what I've noticed over the years and the hidden product, and I kind of gave you a little bit of it on the front end, the hidden product is in all of those things that I just described. And this is something I've noticed over the years that confidence, it doesn't usually come before the pivot. In other words, Um, well, I'm confident now. Now I'm gonna make a move. Oh, I got this. I'm gonna make a move. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I don't care anymore. I'm not, it's not about what people say. It's not about what people think. I got this. I'm smart enough. I'm wise enough. I'm ready. I'm prepared. Those things don't often come before the pivot. Those things come because of the pivot. We grow in confidence. It's a muscle. You got to work it, you got to use it. It's a confidence is a muscle. And I think about that every time y'all see I'm ready to get out here on these kettlebells. It's the same muscle that's in my arm. It's the same muscle. You see that? I'm getting there. It's the same muscle. What's different about it now, a month or two later? What's different about it is the growth of it. It's the size of it. The muscle was there. I got the same muscle I was born with. But when I go out there and I put that weight on it and challenge it and handle it and complete the workout, complete the set, add the extra weight that I didn't think I was ready to add, guess what emerges? What comes out of that is confidence. So it comes because of the pivot. So many women tell me when I feel confident, when I finally feel confident, this is what I'm gonna do. That's when I'll. That's as soon as I get I gotta build up my confidence. When I build up my confidence, I'm gonna apply. I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna rest when I get more confident in my, where things are right now. Right now, things are a little shaky. I can't be taking time. I can't do that. When I get more confident, I'm gonna speak up and I'm going to take credit for my work. I'm gonna make the big ask. It's been 4 years and I've been handling this and so left, and now I got to do her job. And I haven't asked for it. I'm gonna ask as soon as I get confident enough. When I get confident and everything's straightened out, I'm gonna start dreaming again. When my kids go off and and I get all the things. But life is really teaching us something different. If we'll pick up what life is putting down, the confidence comes along the way. The confidence becomes the evidence, right? It's the evidence that follows the action. And we talked about this in session 2. And the action follows the willingness. All you got to do is have the willingness and give yourself permission. So the pivot evidence that we can ourselves. We can trust ourselves. We can trust ourselves. So as we go into this summer celebration, you should be patting yourself on the back. You should be clapping for yourselves and for others. Y'all can give some claps out there. You can give some claps. You should be clapping because I want all of you to think about one pivot that you made this month. And if you're just the first time, what pivot is already coming forward for you? We don't have to overthink this. We don't have to overthink this. And it doesn't matter how small. What pivot have you made this month? What pivot is on the horizon? What pivot are you aware of this time? What next pivot? For some of you that made one pivot, maybe a second pivot is in order. And what has that one decision made possible? We're at the end here. I usually try to keep it to 45 minutes. We start a little bit afterwards. But I just want to say to you, never underestimate a small pivot. That could be just taking your lunch break instead of working through lunch, eating through lunch. Tiny hinges, y'all, can swing gigantic doors. Tiny hinges, think about that, can swing gigantic doors. So as we close out, I want to leave you with a final thought this month. Yes, we it's been the art of the pivot. And granted, we've spent every single week talking about pivoting, but I really want you to know that this week, this month, this series has been about permission. It's permission to acknowledge when life changes, it's permission to rethink, it's permission to recalibrate, it's permission to prepare, it's permission to shift how you think and believe mindset. It's permission to build deeper, to go slower for the sake of going deeper. Has been permission to start over again, to close something that ain't working, ain't been working, and it's showing no signs of going to work. Sometimes we stay too long, and we've talked about this before. And I think that is a characteristic of a strong and resilient woman, particularly woman of color, is to keep keeping and just keep milking that turnip, trying to get blood out of it. We're just gonna keep pressing on the gas on things that are exhausting us, that are not showing any return on the investment. So sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to chalk it up, charge it to the game, take a L, and just start over. And I think one of the most important pieces in all of this, and I'll say it again, I'm saying it the same thing different ways, is just permission to trust yourself. Because here's what I know, life will ask us to pivot again. This ain't the last, this ain't the first, this ain't the last. And we get an option. And what I've learned, whether it's next month or next year or when we least expect it, the one thing about these pivots that keep coming, the faster you recognize it, the more you prepare for it, the more deeply you embrace it, then we can build some momentum in our lives. And it doesn't take us a year to pivot. We can see it coming. One thing one of my coaches told me, and I tell you, it was such a simple thing, but it came at a time that was so potent and so right on time in the midst of things that were just kind of swimming around in my head. And one of the things that she said, I'm a Libra, y'all. So if you know anything about Libras, we can be a little indecisive. We can take a little time with a situation. We can take a little time to work it through with the going back and forth, that need to have the balance in it all. But one of the things that she said is learn to solve problems early. Learn to solve problems early. And man, sister, I tell you, from that day forward, it's almost like I started looking for the problems. That was a big shift in how I function personally and in my business. Sometimes it's giving the benefit of the doubt and let me see again. Let me get one more chance, three more chances, all the things. Learn to solve problems early. So, that being said, just know with that in mind, the pivot is not our enemy. Shift, change, movement is not our enemy. It never was. Pivots are our invitation, it's our opportunity. And the greatest product of every healthy pivot is becoming the kind of woman that you, Shonda said, Yana, you are not alone. That's one of our statements here for y'all new people, new sisters that are here in the community. We put capital Yana. Yana, you are not alone, not alone. But it's becoming the kind of woman, okay, so the product of this pivot, of a healthy pivot, so I want you to think about who doesn't have to blood out of a turnip. You don't have to keep staying when it's time to leave. You don't have to do that. We become the kind of woman who knows that we can navigate whatever comes next. So let's take that one last breath together. Is that I can navigate. If a pivot is in order, I don't have to avoid it because I can navigate, not handle, not deal with, not take on, but navigate because we're moving. We're moving. We're moving. So let's take that one deep breath. Let's inhale some confidence, exhale some fear. I feel like we need one more inhale for confidence. Exhale some fear. All of it. Let it go. Because going forward into July, we are moving a lot lighter. We're not letting stuff keep us back. So this week, don't ask yourself, what should I change? Ask yourself, what have I become because I was willing to change? Whatever that answer is, celebrate it, own it, stand on it, and just know that your community here believes in you. We know you have it. I trust the woman I'm becoming. Every pivot has prepared me for what's next. I'm gonna put that. Where can I put that? Where can I put that? I guess we need another community at some point because I have stuff I want to give you. My future is not built by perfection. Your next move, your next decision doesn't have to be perfect. That really doesn't exist for those of you who have not figured it out. It's built on courageous, faithful, I believe steps. That's all it is. All right, my friends, my sisters, today I hope you can go and celebrate. I hope you have found this series to be powerful, potent, purposeful, and relevant to your life. I hope you have found it to bring new life, to breathe oxygen into your situation, into your circumstance, and give you a compass for what's next in your life.